Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin with Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thank you so much for logging on, tuning in, clicking a link, or Googling, or there's so many things they do to get here. I don't know how sometimes they just get lost, and this is the seedy part of town.
Aha.
That's what I'm told anyway. So, guys, we're here. We are at the Foxwood Wine Company in the O'Galley Arts District in Melbourne, Florida. We're just coming off of Indiecon 2019, and we're hanging out with some great artists down here. We're hanging out right now with musician, singer, songwriter, Georgia Randall. Georgia, thanks for hanging out with us today.
Thanks for having me.
How are you?
I'm excited. Thank you.
Yeah. So, wow. So let's talk about music.
Okay.
Because that seems like the thing to do.
Yes.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's talk about music. How long have you been performing?
Oh my gosh. Well, long time. Long time.
Long time.
Yes.
Longer than you.
Yes. I started
Maybe.
I started out when I was like a tiny little toddler in church. I don't remember it.
But they tell you.
But they tell me that my first solo was This Little Light of Mine, and that by the time I was 9, I was singing it out like, this little light of mine.
Just adding your own groove, right?
I turned it into soul because I loved soul music. And
awesome.
Yeah, I listened to Big Mama Thornton and Coco Taylor and Etta James and all those people.
All those influences.
Yes, where my friends were listening to, Paul Anka and, the top 40 stuff, and I was going for that.
You're just
that
going
soul
that soul
stuff.
sound, huh?
So I did that. I did that just in church for the longest time, every Sunday. And then in school, I was in a chorus, and one of my best friends would come over on weekends, and we'd have this little tape recorder, and we'd practice harmonizing.
Tapes, they were this thing.
Yes.
Really, it was a real thing.
It was this little thing.
Yeah, a little thing.
You push a button, and people now go, what?
People are like, what?
And we would be playing a record, old-time record.
It's one of those big CDs that your mom has.
It's a thing with a needle on it.
Yeah.
And we would sit there and harmonize with
That's
the
awesome.
record. And so then she said, hey, there's a teen dance this weekend. We need to go. And I said, okay, cool. So we went, and I looked, and there was this most handsome guy I'd ever seen playing guitar. Fell in love with him, right? And so we went up, and I introduced myself. He became my boyfriend. He was a rock star in the area.
Okay.
And they were going to be auditioning for this big-time manager named Don Tyler. It was in Norfolk, Virginia.
Wow.
So he said, why don't you come? And we really would like a female vocalist so you can sit in for the audition. I said, cool, I'll do that. And I sat in for the audition, and they were done, and the manager comes up, sits down just like you are now, and says, I'm not interested in that band, but I want you. I was 15 years old.
Wow.
And that started it.
Wow.
I was never out of work.
Not many people that watch the show know this. That's first of all, it's an amazing story because it is. You don't know what's going to take you to the next step. You really don't.
Exactly.
My mom used to sing when she was 15 or 16 years old, and she went down to Nashville, and they were playing different places. And a guy walked up, and he was just sitting there, and he walked up, and he looked over, and she used to sing with my biological dad. And he walked up, and he said, I'm not sure about the act. You, I'm sure of. And she said, no, it's an act. He said, no, it's family, it's an act.
We're a package.
We're a package. And he was like, I don't know about all that. So she went home, and she had me, and thank God for that.
Yes, there'd be an empty chair there, right?
That's right. The internet is so excited, right? Act like you're happy. And then, but it's the way that works, and never look back on it. Never look back at all. But it is great to see that. I mean, you just took that to the next level. And so, what are you doing? We just heard through the grapevine, or from Chuck Fresh, which is sort of like the grapevine, only sitting over there instead of being outside. That you just performed impromptu just the other night, like at I'm going to try to do this. It's Brews and Blues. I'm not doing it again because it makes my teeth jiggle. It's really weird. Brews and Blues. You just were there, and you knew the people performing, and their impromptu come on up and do a set, which doesn't happen to very many people. So, where are you performing? What are you doing right now? What are you not here? Obviously, you're sitting here talking to me, but
that's right.
Wait, yeah. What are you doing these days? Where are you performing? Where can people, find you online, things like that?
Well, I perform out as a solo and as a duo. In fact, every last Sunday of the month, I'm in Murdoch's, which is in Cocoa Village.
Yep.
That's my duo gig. And I'm so blessed that I know so many fantastic guitarists that join me because I play guitar and sing.
That's awesome.
And so they take it to the next level because they can really play. And so we do that.
See what she did there? Yeah, she can really play too. And sing. She's got CDs over here. Tell us about these CDs. What do you got here? What do we got?
Well, this is cool. This was my first one. It's called Fly On.
What is this?
Fly On.
Fly On.
And then it was not even 7 months later, I recorded this one, which is These Days. So within a calendar year, I actually recorded 2 albums.
Awesome,
And I'm going back into the studio next month to do an EP.
Awesome.
I have an album's worth, but I'm going to split it and do 2
Into
EPs.
2 EPs, yeah. Well, it really, nowadays, it's, obviously iTunes and Spotify, you get one song at a time. You can need an EP, short, album. And then, of course, there's always the album later on.
Right.
But it's a great way for indie music to get out there because you can do it the way they've done it in studios for years and years and years. And, the independent community wasn't able to do that for so long because, they would put you in a studio and record an album and then release one song at a time because they had infinite money.
Exactly. And they owned you.
And they owned you for that time. And while they were releasing one song at a time, you were performing that song over and over and over again until you were exhausted. Now the independent community has access to the studio equipment that we need and local independent studios and the ability to go to Spotify or iTunes or all of these digital platforms. And it's really opened the world up a lot.
It has,
and
thank goodness.
Since you started in music and to now, the shift in the paradigm of how business is done and what these young people can look forward to is so different than it was early on. Okay. Oh, yeah. I like that one. That's a good one. We'll actually ask that question because we want to make her feel smart.
Okay.
Besides, I like that question. In the studio, putting together your album, putting together your music, okay, best moment. Is there a moment when you just heard something right or something just clicked with you and it just said, yeah, this is why I do this?
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you listen to because first you go in and do a click track, which is just a raw track, and that's what everything's going to build on.
Yeah.
And the first time after your session players, bass, drums have done their thing and you come down into the recording engineer's room and listen to it, through their equipment and it just comes alive, you're like, wow, that's my song? That's really
Didn't know that was going to happen, huh?
Wow, that is really good. But it was fun. I mean, actually when I was 16, I recorded a song with the Norfolk Aliens, which was my first band. They were a big deal.
Norfolk Aliens.
Norfolk Aliens.
Okay.
They have a Facebook page. And
awesome. We're going to put that link down below so you guys can catch up.
Norfolk Aliens. And we did a recording back then, and the way it was then and the way it is now is so different because now where they can go in a computer and patch things, where then everything was analog.
My dad did an album
difference.
in the 70s. My dad did an album in the 70s, and he got the band together, and they went into the studio, and they got their time, and each instrument and all the different tracks, and then they had their master, and then they made albums back then. Those records, those big CDs we told you about earlier, round, yeah. And they had records made. And years later, and now, and through the show and what we do with the indie community, I was on the phone with him. I said, Dad, you get your album, you have the master. Because I don't even know where that master is, he said.
Exactly.
And he said, everything was analog then. So the master was here, and the albums were here, and I'm like, oh my Lord. And because now it'd be finding a file.
Yeah, it's a thumb drive.
It's a thumb drive.
You get all your tracks
But then he
right
goes,
there.
no, he goes, it was all there. There's no recreating that moment.
No.
And whereas now, like you said, it's sometimes your instruments are playing weeks apart and on a thumb drive, and there it is.
Yes, yeah, and you can redo it if you want to.
That's incredible.
But it was very exciting, and then to record it and then hear it played on the radio. I've been very
Awesome.
blessed in that I've had some people that have syndicated shows that like have followed my career.
Awesome.
And so I said, can I drop a name of a
Absolutely,
radio
by
show?
all means, yes.
FM Odyssey, which Fred Migliori is the host, and
Awesome.
it's a national syndicated. About 3 months ago, he did a 1 hour interview with me. And we
Amazing.
played different tracks from my album, and that
That's
went
awesome.
nationwide. And it's just so exciting when your music is getting to people's ears.
Music, art is made to be appreciated.
Exactly.
Music is meant to be listened to. So many artists, we know the front part of the journey, which is the creating, the writing, and the producing, and getting it out there. But it's not organic until there's a listener, until there's somebody interacting that's been touched by the work that you've done.
And that's the hard part, I think, for artists today, is getting it out there.
And getting away from all the noise, because there's so much. And we're a culture of media addicts. So whether it's YouTube or music or films or binge watching television, whatever you're doing a lot of it. And so trying to cut through that static and become one of the things that they want, it's a really hard thing to do. And it's awesome when you have the classic radio model of those syndicated shows sharing your work.
Yes, and they're independent. They're not the top 40. You know, like they run through.
Well, I know a lot of stations have shifted to formats,
yes,
either an
public
oldies
radio.
format or a top 40 format, or whatever. There's always some angle coming at it, but that angle tends to limit us.
Put you in a box.
Yeah, and then if you don't fit in the box, you don't get to be played.
Exactly.
And so we're excited. That card means I have to shut up. Apparently, we were having a conversation. We were talking here. They didn't like it, so they're going to make us shut up. So we're going to do that. We're going to thank our partners and our friends, though, because we have to do that because they make the show possible. Our great friends Rick Shea and his team at Famous Faces and Funnies. Our good friend Jake Estrada at Space Coast Comics, Indiecon 2020, Jay Bauer Art, Embellish Effects in Orlando, Florida, the Foxwood Wine Company, because amazing, and our great friends over at Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida, Bea and her crew. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching the show, guys. Share it, subscribe to it, log on, tune in, see who we're hanging with next. Awesome. You have that panic.
Shoot me on TV, sitting there and cries. He lost his wife and family. Now he wants to die and cries. Why me? Why me? Why me? Why not you? Preacher was a good man. Talk that fire brimstone. Taught the children, leave those sins alone. But he couldn't tell me the reason why. Tell me how can it be that way? Going to die. Please won't you tell me why? Lord, won't you tell me now? Lord, won't you tell me now? Hey, I do what I want, tell you what I need, tell me goodbye, ain't much of me. I got my own, don't need it from you. Ain't feeling lonely, ain't feeling blue. Be on your way, take my advice, never come back. I'm gonna tell you twice if it feels right. I'm wrong with me, I'm wrong with the love that I leave 'em. She come out of my tree, yeah. Said, let me lay down for a while, baby. Don't wanna get in no fight. Smell a cheap perfume. It's like a wander down the street. Seeing all the guys at her house. She like a cat in heat. Got lipstick on your collar, blonde hair on your clothes. Won't look me in the eye, babe. This woman knows you lied to me, baby. Just like you did so many times before, yeah. Oh, yeah, you lied now. This time it's gonna be so different. This time, gonna shut the door.